If you're putting in the work day after day, trying to run faster, trying to run more, reading all the books, watching on YouTube, and you're still not seeing progress, then this video is for you. So my name is Caroline. I am a 2:46 marathon runner from Norway, and I went through 6 bone stress injuries and just a really hard time for 4 years. And I want this video to just be me telling you why you are struggling to see results and how we can get you out of your rut and how we can adapt your training based on your life. I'm also a running coach, so if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, then check out my link below. So why are you not seeing progress? So the reason you're not seeing progress is because either you're burnt out, or you're injured, or you're just doing the same stuff over and over again and your body is not absorbing it. And how you absorb the workouts you're doing is through recovery. And then we have to make sure that your workouts are just right for where you're currently at, because when you're doing too much and you're not recovering from that and that accumulates, that's when you get burnt out and that's when you get injured. How are you going to break out of your rut? The first thing I would say is accepting that your personality is actually holding you back. And I know that this is such a probably weird thing for me to say, but now that I've worked with so many different athletes who are marathon runners, I see this all the time. Our personality is not like normal. We are striving for the top, which very much comes with pushing ourselves hard. We want to do more, we want to run faster, right? And we probably see this in other areas of our life. And while that's definitely a part of why we are marathon runners, or we are runners in general, why that's probably a huge reason to why many of you are probably very successful, not just with your running, but in other areas of your life, realizing that that's actually holding you back in your running and that is part of why you are burnt out and injured, I think is a really key point, because we're not often told this. We think that it's a good thing. And for me, at least, it was definitely why I got injured. I was overdoing my hard runs and I was overdoing my easy runs, because I thought that I wasn't overdoing it because my easy runs were slow because I'm competitive. So I felt like it wasn't too fast. And the same went for my harder runs. But my biggest piece of advice is first accepting your personality and then switching to a training method that really allows this type of personality to thrive, which is heart rate training, because heart rate training is based on effort. It's not based on specific times. And that effort is going to be individualized to you, which is great. I also really recommend switching to running on time, not distance, because again, just like with the paces, running on time is going to force you to instead focus on that training effort. So say you're running at 140 heart rate for 60 minutes, then you're not going to be inclined to want to run faster to achieve a further distance, because your metric is time, right? Not that further distance. So this has really just helped me. It's really helped so many of my athletes. So I really recommend you doing those two things, running on heart rate and running on time. And then it's going to be managing your intensity correctly. And the most important thing when you've been burnt out and injured is going to be to start off doing a little bit less rather than a little bit too much, because you already know that your personality is going to want to do that a little bit too much. So it's like understanding that, okay, we're going to start off a little bit less. So that means go even slower on your easy runs. And again, basing it on that heart rate, giving yourself a max heart rate, and then go even slower on your threshold runs. So I actually do quite a bit of work at threshold, because training at threshold is essentially going to be how you're going to increase your race pace, because you are racing at that higher effort. However, I do a lot of my training at low threshold just to really make sure that I'm absorbing and not near that line of like getting injured. And that's, again, what I've seen work really well for me, work really well for my athletes, and I highly recommend you do the same. If you're looking for a training plan that does this, then I have marathon training plans. And if you use the code YouTube20, you get a 20% discount. I also have one-on-one coaching, so fill out my form if you want to work one-on-one with me as your coach. And if not, I just really recommend finding another training plan or something else that's structured to follow that is based on heart rate and on time. My third point is going to be how to adapt your training to life. So I'm assuming that you're like me, you like structure. That's part of why you like training for a marathon, because it provides this awesome structure. And having this plan where you're seeing that you're running further and further, you see your fitness increases, it's just so rewarding. You probably love that. However, what I've learned over the years is how that plan needs to adapt to your life, because life is not steady, right? Life is like a roller coaster. You have very stressful times, you have less stressful times, you have periods where you're sleeping really good, where you're eating really good, and then periods where you're not. And then you travel, you have maybe periods where you have more alcohol. There's all these things affecting your life, and the sooner you can learn to adapt your training to these things, the better your performance is going to get. Because again, our bodies are not a robot, so you need to adapt it to where it's at to not overdo it. That means, for me at least, that's meant, again, learning when to do very, very slow runs, which again for me is heart rate, and when to do that harder session. So for example, when I've been traveling, I've done so much less threshold work, because traveling is a huge stressor on the body, especially when you're traveling across time zones. So you got to be very cautious with that. And then knowing that your personality is going to want to follow that plan. It's going to want to do those workouts that you were supposed to. It doesn't want to accept that all these other things are coming in and impacting your ability to actually follow the plan. And I think through realizing that that is your personality, and not like telling yourself that, oh, I'm being so good by following that plan. Instead, realizing that, okay, I actually lean towards wanting to follow that plan, and what my body actually needs now is that easier run, because then it will actually absorb that easier run, and then it's going to be ready to do that threshold run and absorb that too, instead of it being too much again and then having to take all that time off. I think that that is really the key to long-term success in the sport of running. So don't forget to check out my marathon plans. If you're curious about how I execute one of my workouts, then I have my secret track workout right here. Thank you so much for watching.